What's up, you guys? Sean Ross Sapp, Fightful.com. It's a big week, and it's going to be a big weekend as well. AEW Full Gear 2020. We will have full post-show coverage. I think we're doing live scrums. We haven't really been clued in on that yet, but if so, we'll be streaming those live here at Fightful.com, YouTube.com/Fightful. But I am joined today by Stephanie Chase. You can see her on Digital Spy, Wrestle Talks Wrestling Daily, even her own channel over at Stephanie Chase Wrestling, where she's interviewed Shotzi Blackheart and Adam Cole and Chris Jericho. You know, some people that maybe wrestling fans have heard of.
Hello, Sean. What's up? How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. Thanks for joining me.
You're welcome. I'm excited. I'm very hyped for Full Gear.
As I mentioned, guys, you all can check out Stephanie on Wrestle Talks Wrestling Daily. You guys know I think the world of those guys over there, as I do about Stephanie. But we're going to go ahead and get into these predictions. First off is the buy-in match that I'm actually very excited for. Orange Cassidy against John Silver. Silver has really become a bit of a cult phenomenon after he's shown his personality on BTE so much. What do you think of this match, and how do you see it going?
Well, yeah, I have to agree. John Silver has been like a really great little 2020 success story. In a way, he's very like Orange Cassidy, but using completely opposite gimmicks. Like, he's got over by showing so much personality, and Orange Cassidy's got over by being Orange Cassidy. I think this match is going to be really, really fun. I see Orange Cassidy probably getting the win just because he's more established. But I think once it's over, we're all going to love John Silver just a little bit more, if that's possible.
Yeah, it makes sense for Orange Cassidy to win this match because I don't think that John Silver needs to win to keep being popular at what he's doing. And there's going to be a lot of eyes open. There's going to be a whole lot of people that maybe aren't that familiar with John Silver's work that are going to realize that he is a powerhouse. I liked the terminology that Vince McMahon used on Rise and Fall of ECW when he talked about Taz. He said that Taz was ECW's sawed-off monster. John Silver can be that in AEW. He can be that, but he's so entertaining as well. This is a match that I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah, he's like, this is his really biggest opportunity that John Silver has ever got. And this is, I think, really going to make him. And, you know, I think one day it's going to be John Silver versus Brody Lee. And that's going to be the match that we're all waiting for. Yeah.
That is a great, like, underdog versus dominant guy type of match, type of story.
Yeah.
The main card is, there's a nice mix here. I spoke about this week. The thing that I get so frustrated with about WWE is the constant rematches, cold rematches, matches that don't have stakes. You have some rematches on this show. Cody and Darby Allin, Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston, Hikaru Shida and Nyla Rose. Difference is, these all have stakes. You even have Matt Hardy and Sammy Guevara with Elite Deletion. But you also have 3 or 4 very unique, distinct, fresh matchups that have a lot of stakes. We're going to kick it off with one of those rematches. Hikaru Shida and Nyla Rose, AEW Women's title. I do feel they have got to get this title on the show more. It seems like people win it and they just vanish for weeks at a time.
Or they lose it and vanish in the case of Nyla.
Yeah, she got a manager and then just hit the bricks, and then they're like, oh, well, she's got a title shot. And I'm thinking, well, all due respect to her, I enjoy her work, but why? Why is she in a title match based on what we've seen on Dynamite? Like, I think that Hikaru Shida is going to win this, but it's just not given the attention that it deserves.
I actually feel Nyla's going to win it just because I feel like some of the problem with Shida maybe is that she should be chasing rather than being the one holding it. And I think maybe if they have a dominant heel holding the title again, it could, you know, just really heat up that title as well. So I think Nyla's gonna take it back.
It feels like to me they're waiting to really kick off the personalities in this division whenever Britt Baker gets that title. And if you can develop a lot of really great baby faces, Britt Baker is a fantastic heel to chase. I think she can be the anchor of that division. She's adjusted to TV wrestling. But Nyla Rose is adjusted to TV wrestling as well. Like, Nyla Rose was not somebody that people were over the moon about her work last year. Now, she has stepped up and delivered it. Hikaru Shida is always good, but I could definitely see Nyla ending up winning this. Is there anybody that you see like emerging after this?
You know what? I would say Penelope Ford because I think she's really good. But with her being with Kip and Miro, she's kind of slotted in the girl that's with Kip and Miro rather than things being about Penelope Ford. But she's someone I definitely give a chance to next and try and like separate her from really just separate her from Kip Sabian. It's, you know, he's got Miro now. It's like not necessary. And I think if anything, that's holding her back from fulfilling her potential as a great like star of the women's division, because she has everything that you need to be a star of the women's division.
They definitely have some people that could emerge, especially in the coming years. I was upset to see Sadie Gibbs go, but that's a product of the times, not necessarily a reflection of her talent. Guys, leave a thumbs up and subscribe. I forgot to mention, donate a super chat while we're here live on the air. We'll read it on the air. Matthew Makovsky says, Sean, you better not mispronounce my name. We want Stephanie more. Thursdays with Alex aren't enough. Anyway, I'm so excited for this show. 5 out of 8 matches I'm super excited for. We will definitely try to have Stephanie on more. I mean, you're in the UK, yeah?
Yeah, I'm in the UK.
That's a late night for a lot of people to do post shows. You all have to brave the elements of the actual show at like 4 a.m. sometimes.
Yeah, the shows usually end at about 3 a.m. But then you get the problem of you're so hyped from the show you can't sleep.
Yeah.
So you're just, sitting there either, wanting to do a post show or like just trying to sober up a bit after all the fun of watching it. But yeah, it's pretty late nights. But it's going to be hard this Saturday though, because it's an early morning with New Japan and a late night with AEW. So it's a sleep all day Saturday.
Yeah, we will definitely try to have Stephanie on a post show sometime if she's wired, hyped up, ready to go. But I'm pretty hyped up and ready to go for Chris Jericho versus MJF. I interviewed him this week. He's a trash guy. He's a terrible human, but I did interview him. If he wins, he's in the Inner Circle. How do you see this going? Last year at Full Gear, we saw MJF separate himself from Cody. Now here he is trying to join Inner Circle.
Well, this match I'm so excited for, and I was totally taken aback but when they announced it so soon. I make no secret of the fact that Jericho is my go-to wrestler, so I'm usually excited for all his matches, but this one is going to be really good. I see this as being such a great long-term storyline where MJF is going to win. He's going to get into the Inner Circle. He's going to have Jericho is going to have to be like, okay, you did it. You're in. MJF is going to have that hanging over Jericho's head. He'll be really, really nice to him, but every so often he'll be like, yeah, like that time I beat you type thing, which is going to build the tension. You're going to have people like Sammy in there who's just going to be totally disgusted at the fact that MJF's part of his faction, not only part of the faction, but like taking his spot as the young guy that Jericho is kind of mentoring. And I think that maybe close to a year's time or a couple months at least, it will be Jericho versus MJF again. But this time it will be like a proper blood feud where something like snaps and they finally properly turn on each other. But I think this match is going to be great. And I predict that MJF is going to win.
I think he's going to win too. He got a little upset at me when I said there might be a Farouk Rock Nation of Domination situation there where there might be some struggle. I think MJF is going to win this. I think it plays out the way that you said. I think that pretty much sums it up, and I think that's a fantastic way to do it. And the thing about AEW is they traditionally don't overdo rematches, so you won't have to see the same thing over and over again. There's good time in between them.
And I think they find an interesting way to build stories, because this one, with everything that we saw from the musical number to all of it, like the natural thing to do was to just do this long kind of slightly uneasy with tension friendship and then have the match. But this whole idea of doing the match first is very interesting. And with Jericho being involved, I always do trust him and stuff like this. And I think that this is a feud that's just going to play out really well. And we're just in the first step of what's going to be a really great, long, fun journey with hopefully more dancing.
Well, we have a feud that has not played out very well. Sammy Guevara and Matt Hardy. Elite Deletion, a cinematic match. Probably what should have happened to begin with. Matt Hardy has had a terribly snake-bitten AEW run, from having to debut in front of no fans to the gimmick not working, him getting a chair thrown in his face. Sammy got suspended. Then he falls off the thing and hits his head. Anything bad that can happen to Matt Hardy has happened to Matt Hardy since he started with AEW. And these are usually his vision, these cinematic matches.
Yeah.
Do you think that he ends up winning this? It seems like the natural, the one that makes sense is Sammy somehow emerging victorious. Matt's in his mid-40s. He clearly doesn't have that many years or even months ahead of him. And Sammy's the fresh new face.
I feel like I want to say that Matt wins because he kind of deserves it, because he's been through so much. Like, this feud has been cursed, and I don't like to say that, but it really has. And as you said, anything that could go wrong will go wrong. It is a Matt Hardy match, so I guess he's got better chance. But then Sammy needs wins though as well. Like, as they're really being very slow in building Sammy because they haven't given him much. So I'm going to stick with Matt Hardy winning though. Because he's had so much bad stuff done to him, and I'm talking about the stuff in storyline that's happened to him, that it kind of feels right that he has to win. And then Sammy can go back to putting all his frustration into MJF being a part of the inner circle.
Yeah, there's so many different aspects of this that come into play. There's Sammy not liking MJF. There's MJF trying to join the inner circle so he can win the world title. He told me that's why he wanted to do it. I like that all this stuff weaves in together, like you mentioned. Like there are other elements at play. Evan Wright says, Chad Too Bad and Sex Ferguson helped Sammy Guevara win. I am interviewing them ahead of talking Shopomania 2, as if I haven't talked to Gallows and Anderson enough this year. We're doing it again. Oh,
I think there's a lot to talk to them about. So
especially there sure is. AEW TNT Championship, Cody against Darby Allin. This is a little bit of a point of frustration for me because they are redoing the TNT title challengers. Orange Cassidy, as much as I like him, 3 title shots in 5 weeks. He did not need to face Brody Lee that first time. He should have just came out. It would have had a lot more impact had he just not lost one. Darby Allin is a guy we've seen Cody face in the past, but hasn't necessarily been in the title picture. How do you see this one going?
I see this one as Cody winning, just because I think got a hot shot the title again after he lost it. So like, he won it back from Brody Lee so fast. What interests me about this match is Cody's big strength is just being that amazing baby face that you want to love and you want to cheer for. And then you've got Darby Allin that everyone loves and cheers for, but in a totally different way. Cody's that old-fashioned emotional, puts his heart into it babyface, whereas Darby Allin's like the Jeff Hardy undersized crazy guy. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. This would have been a really interesting match to have in front of a lot of fans, which we could say for every match, but this one particularly to see who the crowd really, really get behind. But I think it's going to be Cody. I think Darby's story is that he's not going to win a title just yet. That needs to be worked up to more. I think he got stuck in that cage feud that got a little convoluted for a bit too long.
I think that Cody ends up winning this, and my only point of frustration is they've had this match, 3 really good long matches on TV. I don't know if I needed a 4th one right now, maybe down the line to play off their history, but to me, this is one of those that they just booked without a whole lot of build, and I'm okay with that because Cody and Darby Allin can sell this on themselves, but I do think that Cody's going to win. John Moxley, Eddie Kingston. This is another one I'm like, okay, I love Eddie Kingston. I love his promos. They're fantastic. Don't know why he's getting another crack at it. Maybe it's just because he didn't quit last time. They're like, okay, well, we can run that back. So much of AEW's charm was that they weren't doing this over and over again. I'm excited for the match, but I don't think that there's any realistic possibility that Eddie Kingston wins this from a booking perspective. On screen, they've done a whole lot to make me think that Eddie Kingston could win. It's an I Quit match. He's got like 5 friends running around. They could all jump Jon Moxley. How do you see this one going?
Well, I am from the UK, and Eddie Kingston, despite not being from the UK, feels like kind of like a indie god here.
Yeah, of course.
It's like the UK matches. Like Eddie Kingston's like our guy, and the idea of Eddie Kingston winning the AEW Championship, I think, is the biggest, most beautiful fairy tale that could happen in wrestling right now. So I want him to win it so much. And then I'm also working on a theory that's totally not going to happen, that Moxley drops the title in order to go to Japan and defend his US title against Kenta or Tanahashi. That would be awesome. So I think like non-storyline wise, it would make sense for Kingston to win, but then that would just be such an amazing shock. But if you're asking me who's going to win, I'm saying Jon Moxley.
Of course.
But I will be watching, like, just hoping for a miracle. That's nothing against Moxley. I just think if you're going to, if you're going to put the title on Kingston, like this is the time to give him almost like his gold watch in wrestling.
I like that. I like that analogy. And also, Eddie Kingston's awesome. I love Eddie Kingston. And
if anyone can sell you on a match, it's Kingston.
Yeah.
So whoever his next challenger is, like whether you're going to let MJF challenge or even like someone like a Darby or whatever, like Kingston will sell that match to you, whatever it is. So
they have him cutting promos on cookies on BTE because he can do it, because he can sell you that. Big thank you to Tony L for the generous super chat. If you have a question or comment, make sure you type it below and I'll read it. Evan Wright says, Eddie Kingston's been such a bright spot of 2020, best promo guy in wrestling, and in my opinion, I think Eddie will win due to the numbers game, the guy rules. I'm not going to be upset if Eddie Kingston wins the AEW Championship. I'll be pretty stoked about that.
I'm going to have an Eddie Kingston appreciation party. I would say like that my only thing is, how do you make Jon Moxley say, I quit? Like, how do you get out of that stipulation of him, your champion, he's Jon Moxley, actually saying that, even if you have the numbers given? But maybe there's a little trick they can do, hopefully one that's not too WWE.
Yeah, because I mean, that's the thing. We've seen WWE just do the play off the family, play off the emotion thing. Mm-hmm. So I guess we'll see. Oh boy, a couple of matches that I'm very excited for. First one we'll get to, Hangman Page, Kenny Omega, top contender tournament final. This is a big match. This has been built magnificently. I think that both of them have done great. Hangman Page is reluctantly a singles wrestler now. Kenny Omega wanted to depart. I feel like Kenny Omega will win this, but I don't know. This one's a toss-up for me. This one is the most, like, the biggest question mark that I have here. How do you feel?
Yeah, I'm gonna say Omega, and because I think with everything they're doing with Kenny right now, the cleaner is back. He's the best back machine. It's time for Kenny to be the AEW champion, to finally get there. And then, of course, he can continue this rivalry with Paige. But if you're talking about like best built up feuds or highlights of just the entire first year of Dynamite, then it is Kenny Omega and Hangman Page. This feud has been so beautifully built and so enticing, and it's kind of been
so satisfying, right?
Yeah, and it's been kind of realistic in a way. Like you didn't know who to root for, and Hangman was at the beginning being a bit of a jerk, and then you got so sympathetic towards him, and you had the Young Bucks meddling. This feud has had everything, and it's definitely one that's going to continue. But I think with where we are now, with who Kenny is, and Hangman holding on to that sadness about wanting to still be a tag team, I think that it's perfect for Kenny to win.
Yeah, and Kenny, I think he was in a unique situation. One of the greatest wrestlers in the world
Yeah.
from a singles perspective. We all knew him as that. He came over to AEW, and I think this was the right thing. I know a lot of people complained about, oh, well, he should have had a singles run. He didn't for the same reason that Hangman Page was. It's because he's an EVP, and they ran the risk of people saying, oh, well, look how he's booking himself. Look how he's booking himself. And then when they had Hangman Page come out there and say, I want to be the first AEW World Champion, it's like, well, he's not an EVP, but we also know he's their boy. And that backfired on Hangman Page. But then they put together this team, and it helped both of them. It had a lot of people clamoring for Omega to be a single star. It had Hangman Page getting to really show what he can do working off of somebody. And it gave us really great tag team matches. This is what the tag team division can do. You can play off of one another, show how unique you are, show how entertaining you are, and develop a story. And they've done this. I think that Hangman will be super over even in loss. And I can just imagine the look on Hangman's face if he loses. I think he can get more over with a loss because then it is kind of like, oh, that EVP, that EVP, Kenny Omega. Oh, yeah, sure, he's one of the greatest wrestlers in the world. But, you know, I just can't wait to see this. I do think Omega's going to win.
I think you're like totally correct with the whole EVP thing and not giving Kenny that singles one, because really, you know, when you want to make your first world champion, you do need it to be someone with name value, and it had to be Jericho. It couldn't just be one of the elite. Like, Jericho is the perfect person to do it, and because you had Jericho, Kenny as this great wrestler kind of got out of making himself the guy and then going on this different path. And WWE, like, they love the idea of putting two singles guys together. I was talking to FTR the other day, and they were talking about this. But Hangman Page and Kenny, one, they had a backstory anyway, so it wasn't random. And then the whole way it played out is exactly how it should when you're splitting up a tag team. Like, this is the kind of drama that Vince has always been trying to create when he puts two guys together. That's never actually happened because they haven't, like, let it breathe properly.
Sure. Shout out to those in the comments that let me know that I had not updated the nameplate. So Stephanie's name had said MJF for
my God. I am offended.
It had your Twitter handle, but it said MJF for the first time.
Hey, John Ross Sapp, I am not that much of a bad guy. Come on.
Oh, look at you. Look at you. Oh, thank you, guys.
I am not rich though, so it's fine.
Amazing.
I wish I had a Wardlow though, and I wish I was going to Inner Circle.
Somebody says that the Raw general manager is messaging you. The anonymous Raw GM is messaging you right now. Oh, man. We have a couple super chats. iChurch Pastor Blaster says, no question or comment, bro, just appreciation. And Evan Wright says, I think they recreate the Omega Mox shot from the first pay-per-view, but with cleaner Omega behind a battered Mox as champ. That visual would be awesome. That's what I say, that I want AEW to put some space in between their rematches. That's what I mean. Play off that story and do that. Then we have what I think could main event this show, maybe. FTR defending the AEW tag team titles against the Young Bucks. Young Bucks say if they do not win, they will not challenge for the titles again. I kind of dig that each Full Gear so far, we've had this stipulation. I don't want them to shoehorn it like every year, but so far it's been a fun tradition. I have not really liked the build for this, but I'm still excited for the match. What do you think about this one?
Yeah, the build hasn't been great. I'm not sure that FTR have enjoyed the build either, but, you know, did this match really need much of a build? They were, I keep saying this, and I'm not sure anyone really gets it, they were wrestling's Romeo and Juliet. Young Bucks, FTR, will they ever get to be together? It's finally happened. And these guys have so much pressure on them, though. I think maybe especially because the actual TV build hasn't been great. But, they really have to deliver, because this has been something that they've made fans want so much. And I think maybe like in recent months when they have been together, it's kind of lowered fans wanting it because of the build. they did go in kind of an interesting direction with it all, and the Young Bucks kind of heel turn, but not heel turn, whatever that was. But I think this match is going to be great because it can't not be great, and the guys know that it can't not be great. This is their moment, especially for FTR, who do have a lot to prove, really, because they've been saying they're the best, and now they're finally here in AEW, and they're going to face the best, and let's see what happens. And the Young Bucks, very much like Kenny, have not been wanting to, put the tag belts on themselves and take full control of that division. So I think it's going to be FTR still winning.
I do too. I think that they got to get around, man. I say that, and then I'm like, man, how will they get around that stipulation? They can't get around that stipulation.
Yeah.
So I'm like, man, now that's what I like about especially several matches on this card. I don't know who's going to win this. I guess now that I think about it, I'm kind of leaning towards the Young Bucks just because of that stipulation, and just because I'm like, okay, they went with Cody last year and did that stipulation, so maybe they won't this year. But I'm super stoked for this match, and it's one that I wish it had a full AEW crowd. And I can't properly convey to you guys the difference in an actual AEW crowd. It is unlike any TV wrestling experience I've ever been a part of. Going to WWE events for the last 10 or 15 years, it was nothing like any of the AEW shows I've been to. Even like a Dynamite in Cleveland, it was wild there. And this match, I think, could have used that. Now, fortunately, like the crowd is something that last time was rough because of that Jacksonville weather. This Saturday, it's actually supposed to rain.
No!
Yes, it's supposed to rain, but it's like 74 degrees, 84% humidity, something like that. I wonder how that's going to work out for AEW.
Oh, pray for Matt Sydal if he had.
Oh,
It's gonna be rain.
poor guy. So, guys, leave us a thumbs up, subscribe. Stephanie Chase, also known as MJF.
I'll never live that down.
Oh, that was my fault. And somebody said it, and I was like, I didn't update that nameplate. I added Digital Spy. I added Wrestle Talk, Wrestling Daily. I added your Twitter handle. And now it says Stephanie Chase. Now it does.
Now I'm me.
Yeah. Now you're you. Let the people know where they can find you.
You can find me on YouTube as Stephanie Chase Wrestling. I'm putting up an FTR interview tonight, but there's lots more in there. And definitely subscribe before the weekend because I should have something really good coming as well. And you can find me on Twitter at Stephanie M. Chase and on Instagram at Stephanie M. Chase.
Check her out. She's doing all kinds of great stuff. Guys, thank you all so much. Until next time, we're out.
Bye.